Part 101. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1001. Update the latest chapters as soon as possible. What good will joining the Black Flame do to me? Xiaoping'an didn't hide it, but asked directly. You just said that joining the Black Flame will have a higher probability of becoming a god, but this also requires higher casualties. In exchange for the rate, what else? Mo Xiang seemed to have expected that Xiaoping'an would ask such a question. With a faint smile on his lips, he asked, "How do you feel in your body now?" Xiaoping'an's brows moved slightly. What do you mean? Those who can get more than 2 divine skills and talismans at one time in the Divine Skills Sutra Tower, after getting the talismans, their bodies actually feel different from other people's. Their blood will boil and they will be more eager to fight. You know what does this mean? This is the talisman of the divine skill that you have obtained, which is driving your body and consciousness. It wants to promote your complete understanding and integration of the talisman. Other people who have obtained a divine talisman will not have the same experience. With this feeling, they can gradually understand the mystery of the talismans during long periods of practice and meditation. For those who have obtained 2 or more talismans, the key to understanding the fusion of the talismans is not to sit in isolation and practice, but fighting. Only in fierce battles will the talismans you get be comprehended and integrated as quickly as possible. As long as you join the Black Flame, you will have enough fighting opportunities, and you can be better than others. Quickly comprehend the magical talismans of the divine skills you have mastered. This is the first benefit of joining the Black Flame. More battles also means more military achievements, Mo Xiang said, and raised a finger. I see. Xiaoping'an suddenly understood where the desire to fight in his body came from. It turned out to be caused by the fusion of so many magical symbols. However, his situation may be a little different from what Mo Xiang said, because he but fused with the heart of the ancient gods. This is a good reason. Is there anything else? In the land of the divine seal, if you want to improve your strength, in addition to comprehending the divine skills, there is another way, which is to integrate the world beads. The world beads will always be the foundation of the summoner's strength. If I guessed correctly, you now have a secret mandala. The upper limit of his divine power should be less than 30,000 points, right? Mo Xiang looked at Xiaoping'an with a smile on his lips. Yes, it's less than 30,000 points. But what does this have to do with the world pearl you mentioned? The higher the upper limit of the demigod's divine power, the greater the possibility of igniting the divine fire. And after the upper limit of the demigod's divine power exceeds 30,000 points, there will be a big change in the secret mandala, and the basis of all this is the world bead. Therefore, after becoming a demigod, if you want to become a god, the role of the world bead has not become smaller, but has become more important. The source of the world bead in the land of the divine seal is even rarer. Add the Black Flame and you will get there are more opportunities for world beads. For some rare world beads, Black Flame has priority in selecting and allocating them. This is the second benefit of joining Black Flame. Any more? You see those garbage scum poisoning living beings? To cause harm to all the worlds and to dominate and bring blessings, don't you want to crush them? Join the Black Flame. There are definitely many opportunities like this, which can make you feel good. Although joining the Black Flame is dangerous, all those who join the Black Flame no one is depressed. Mo Xiang licked his lips, looking a little perverted. Have you enjoyed yourself enough? Xiaoping'an looked at Mo Xiang suspiciously. Black Flame's mission is not limited to the land of Divine Seal. Sometimes some special missions can give Black Flame special permissions and passages to leave the land of Divine Seal and go to other universes and planes. I have another question. The Black Flame is so powerful, why did you come to me? This is fate, because according to the usual practice, there is a special strong person who can obtain more than 2 divine skills and talismans by fusion at one time. The person in charge of the spiritual skills and scripture tower will report the situation to the temple. Like this, people are usually absorbed by the black flame, and each team within the black flame draws lots to decide who the new recruits will be. This time I got the one, so I came to find you. Xiaopingan nodded. I understand. What will be the consequences if I reject you? It's your freedom whether to join the black flame or not. If you want to be like everyone else, there will be no consequences if you don't join, but you will lose many opportunities. Mo Xiang took a deep look at Xiaopingan. You are hiding. There are still 106 days left in the Sutra Hall. During this period, our team is also repairing in the Wolong territory. You can think about it carefully. If you are willing to join the Black Flame, you can activate this and come to me. Mo Xiang said and stretched out his hand. To provide you with the fastest update of Golden Summoner by Master Ziweihua. Chapter 998 Black Flame Free Reading, Update the latest chapters as soon as possible. Just put a metal butterfly on the table. Okay, I will think about it carefully, Xiaopingan nodded. Mo Xiang put down his things and left simply. After Mo Xiang left, Xiaopingan picked up the metal butterfly he left and looked at it with deep eyes. This metal butterfly has exquisite structure and superb skills. It is a metal puppet that has been cast with magic. As long as it is injected, the divine power will be activated, and Xiaopingan will be led to its owner according to the logic of the spell. Black Flame, interesting, Xiaopingan murmured to himself. Anyway, there are still more than 100 days to think about it. Xiaopingan is not in a hurry and will take his time to understand it before talking. Xiaopingan put away the metal butterfly and then went to the underground secret room. Yesterday he integrated the world beads he got, but there are still good things waiting for him to open in Xiaopingan's secret mandala. Xiaopingan waved his hand, and 2 god secrets appeared on the floor of the secret room. Of these 2 god secrets, one flashed with amber brilliance, and the other was pitch black. They were Old Man He Yet. When they met, Xiaopingan got it from a sneak attack on his opponents, but Xiaopingan never opened it. In addition to these 2 divine treasures, he also got a divine power world bead that Wei Zheng persuaded. This divine power world bead is Xiaopingan had integrated it, so it was placed in the secret mandala. Xiaopingan pointed at the amber god secret with his finger, and a drop of blood flew out from his fingertips and landed on the god secret. The god secret immediately began to glow, like petals, opening up layer by layer. You read a book. Empty. When he saw that there was nothing in God's secret, Xiaopingan, who was full of expectations, shook his head and smiled bitterly. Opening God's secret was like opening a blind box. There were some secrets of God. Hidden means empty. What can be found in God's secret hidden is completely up to chance. The first God's secret treasure did not produce anything. Xiaopingan was looking forward to the second God's secret treasure even more, because from a probability perspective, both God's secret treasures were empty, which was not a high probability. The second drop of blood flew out and landed on the pitch black God's secret. The God's secret opened little by little like petals. What finally appeared in front of Xiaopingan's eyes was the secret of the secret. There is a bronze mirror wrapped in it. This bronze mirror is full of flames, the front is extremely brilliant, and the back is engraved with some secret patterns. I don't know what kind of treasure it is. Xiaopingan picked up the bronze mirror, put his face up to it, and found that his face could not be reflected on the smooth surface of the bronze mirror. He didn't know how to use this thing yet. To see the fastest update of Golden Summoner, please enter in your browser, go to View. To provide you with the fastest update of Golden Summoner by Master Ziweihua. Chapter 998 Black Flame Free Reading, Golden Summoner. Author, Ziweihua. Chapter 1002. Update the latest chapters as soon as possible. 5 days later, in a reading room in the Museum Sutra Pagoda. Xiaopingan was sitting on a chair in the room, concentrating on a book in his hand called The Secret Code of Divine Treasures. On the table in front of him, there were 6 more books of the same secret book that Xiaopingan was reading. It is the 4th book in this set of secret books. In a place like the Sutra Collection Hall, if you encounter something you don't understand, the fastest shortcut is naturally to find relevant books nearby to check. Since Xiaopingan got the strange bronze mirror 5 days ago, Xiaopingan has for a few days, I have been soaking in the Sutra Collection Tower of the Sutra Collection Hall. I was immersed in the strange books introducing all kinds of magical things in the universe. It was an eye-opener and I even forgot that I came here. Purpose here. The cost of reading the classics collected in the museum's secret book tower is very low compared to other secret classics. To a certain extent, these secret classics here are like educating demigods about illiteracy and science, like the total cost of borrowing these 7 classics on the table in front of me is only 7,000 points of divine power. This is simply a blessing for Xiaopingan, because the knowledge in these classics, if placed elsewhere, is enough to make an ordinary people become authoritative experts in a certain field in a very short period of time. What Xiaopingan lacks most now is actually these things. He has come from the great Yan kingdom without a master or anyone to guide him. The things and knowledge he has come into contact with are just a drop in the ocean compared to the vastness and diversity of the universe. For example, those things that are revealed in the God's secret treasure will basically involve Xiaopingan's knowledge blind spots. Xiaopingan's knowledge blind spot can be well compensated in this place. Xiaopingan discovered for the first time that the universe is so wonderful, with all kinds of rare treasures that ordinary people can't imagine, mysterious ethnic groups, secret realm elves, and the customs and historical heritage of hundreds of millions of races. Take this set of classics in his hand as an example. This set of classics is enough to make Xiaopingan go from a novice in God's secret treasures to an expert in identifying God's secret treasures in a short period of time. The set of secret books had been borrowed for the past few days and fell into Xiaopingan's hands yesterday. Xiaopingan had been in the borrowing room for 2 full days, eagerly absorbing the contents of these secret books. Content. It turns out that the most powerful void divine thunder was created by the ancient god clan. It is known as the Twilight of the Gods. The Twilight of the Gods is hidden in the secrets of a few gods. One such void divine thunder is enough to annihilate a galaxy. Transforming all things into the most basic chaos, it is difficult for gods to escape. Fortunately, void divine thunder like the Twilight of the Gods has only appeared twice since the war between the 2 masters, and both times they were given to the master demon god. The army of gods on one side caused heavy damage. The god who used the Dusk of the Gods most recently is Yan Liqiang, who is known as the god of martial arts. He is one of the disciples of the Lord of Heaven and a general in the battle of gods. The representative of Wu Ru Dao's conferred god. Xiaopingan had just turned over the chapter in the secret book that introduced various levels and powers of void divine thunder. As his fingers crossed the pages made of mithril, a new page turned over with a rustling sound. On that new page, there was a bronze mirror. That bronze mirror was the same as what Xiaopingan had obtained. The bronze mirrors are exactly the same. Xiaopingan was shocked. World Spirit Treasure Mirror. This treasure mirror can search for and sense the spiritual crystals hidden in the earth's veins. The specific usage is to inject divine power into the mirror, pinch the magic formula with your hand to control it, and the mirror can be lifted up into the air, and it can withdraw the light within thousands of miles. The instructions for the divine sense crystal hidden underground and the world spirit mirror are as follows. It turns out that the bronze mirror I got is called the World Spirit Treasure Mirror, which can be used to find the divine sense crystal, and it also requires a Dharma master. Xiaopingan understood. After reading this page, Xiaopingan pinched his fingers, and the World Spirit Mirror suddenly flew out of his mandala warehouse, hung above Xiaopingan's head, and began to glow. Xiaopingan pinched it, and the mirror suddenly disappeared again, and Xiaopingan burst into laughter. After a long time, Xiaoping'an walked out of the museum's scripture tower, feeling very good. It was sunny outside and it was already noon. The puppet machine man number 361 was not with Xiaoping'an. In the past few days, after getting familiar with the situation in Tibetan classics, the puppet machine man became the doorman at the door of Xiaoping'an's residence. When nothing happens, just stand at the door. To provide you with the fastest update of Golden Summoner by Master Ziwei. Chapter 999, Storm is Coming. Free reading, Update the latest chapters as soon as possible. He is waiting for Xiaoping'an to come back, and will not run around unless Xiaoping'an calls. The same is probably true for other summoners' puppet machines. There is a puppet machine beside him, and it looks like he has just arrived. It took almost 3 days, and the harvest was good. Xiaoping'an looked at the sky and laughed. He didn't spend much power in these 3 days, but Xiaoping'an gained a lot at this moment. Xiaoping'an felt, I have advanced to become an expert in identifying God's secrets. I have gained countless knowledge and feel full of energy. This scripture collection hall is indeed a big treasure house. If you want to read the secret scriptures here, I am afraid that it may not be possible to read them all in 100 years. Take your time. I still have about 100 days, so I should still be able to stay here. Learned a lot. In the past 3 days, Xiaoping'an had not taken any water in the reading room. At this moment, he touched his belly and walked towards the rest area in the Sutra Collection Hall. The rest area in the Sutra Hall is an independent green tower. Below the tower is a hall. There are big trees in the hall. Under the trees is the rest period. Above the hall, there are layers upon layers. There is a resting area like a tree canopy, and the stairs of those high-altitude resting areas extend from above like winding vines. Here, eating, drinking, and resting are free. The rest area here is actually more like a social area in the Sutra Collection Hall. If the demigod masters who study in the Sutra Collection Hall are tired of walking alone, you can go to the rest area here to have something to eat, chat with people, exchange information, or just meet new friends here. When Xiaoping'an came here, there were already many people in the rest area in the tower hall. People gathered in small groups in the tree-shaped rest areas, discussing topics, eating and drinking wine. The atmosphere is very relaxed and lively, with puppets carrying drinks and food, shuttling between different rest areas like receptionists and waiters. Xiaoping'an glanced around and saw Old Man Ye standing up in a canopy rest area on the 2nd floor of the hall not far away and waving to him. When Xiaoping'an saw Old Man Ye, he walked directly towards Old Man Ye, followed the winding stairs to the 1st floor, and soon arrived at the rest area where Old Man Ye was. In addition to Old Man Ye, there are 7 people in the rest area, 4 men and 3 women. Judging from their faces, they are all outstanding people who have obtained the forbidden armor in the Forbidden Palace before and came here with Xiaoping'an and Old Man Ye. As soon as Xiaoping'an arrived here, he heard a strong man talking in the rest area. I have understood clearly in the past few days. After 108 days, after we have integrated the forbidden armor in our bodies, we will be assigned tasks. Everyone's first task will most likely be assigned. Go to several low-intensity battle zones and stay in those battle zones for 3 years, even if you complete the first mission. As the big man spoke, Xiaoping'an was already here. Everyone, this is my brother Xuanhuan, Old Man Ye introduced Xiaoping'an to everyone. Everyone glanced at Xiaoping'an, felt that his face was a bit impressive, and nodded politely to Xiaoping'an. Xiaoping'an nodded to everyone and sat next to Old Man Ye. The nearby puppet machine automatically brought some food. "Why haven't I seen you these days?" Old Man Ye asked through a message. "I've been reading the secret book these days and lost track of time," Xiaoping'an replied casually. "What about you? What have you been busy with these days?" "Well, I have made a few friends and exchanged information with these friends these days. Everyone is very concerned about what will happen in 100 days. After all, This time has passed very quickly. It won't be long before everyone wants to wear on the battlefield, and I don't know how many people will die again, so who wouldn't be worried? Old man Ye said with a frown. Xiaopingan nodded, and the people sitting here were also discussing where everyone would go in 100 days, exchanging various information. The food was delivered quickly. Xiaopingan ate while listening to the discussions of the people around him. How is the situation in those battle areas? Are there many enemies who have mastered spiritual skills? A female demigod wearing a mask asked. In low-intensity battlefields, there are enemies who master spiritual skills, but not many. The enemy's situation is roughly the same as ours. The armies of both the demon god and the heavenly master rely on to provide you with the fastest update of Golden Summoner by Master Ziwihu. Chapter 999, Storm is Coming. Free reading, Update the latest chapters as soon as possible. We support various fortresses to conduct defensive operations and positional warfare. Even if there are missions, they are led by experts who have mastered spiritual skills. These low-intensity war zones are not dangerous, but it is relatively difficult to obtain military merit. I heard that there was a war in the Blue Wind region a few months ago. The Blue Wind region was also a low-intensity war zone before. Another person said. Under the Divine War, wars are unavoidable, and low-intensity battle zones are also battle zones. If one party wants to break the balance, the situation will be difficult to predict, so variables will always exist, and there is no absolutely safe place. In those low-intensity battle areas, there are also some hunters who have mastered the divine skills, who specialize in hunting people like us who have just obtained the forbidden armor but have not mastered the divine skills. Hunters exist everywhere, and there are many hunters here who target them. The hunters will also hunt each other. This is war. Xiaopingan listened indifferently until he heard someone say such a sentence. Have you heard that the Demon Lord has started offering bounties again? What's the reward? The Overlord Demon God has offered a bounty to hunt down a strong demigod named Xiaopingan. I heard that the demigod Strongman has only recently entered the land of the Divine Seal. The Overlord Demon God has spent a lot of effort in setting up a dragnet, and even the gods have taken action. But still let this person in. To see the fastest update of Golden Summoner, please enter in your browser, go to View. To provide you with the fastest update of Golden Summoner by Master Ziwihu. Chapter 999, Storm is Coming. Free reading, You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Ziwihu. Chapter 1003. Dominate the Pursuit of the Devil? The gods took action and people actually escaped? Just these two bits of information immediately attracted the attention of everyone present. Even Old Man Ye, who was next to Xiaopingan, showed an interested expression and looked at the person who spoke. What Old Man Ye didn't know was that when Xiaopingan heard the news, the hairs on his body stood up. After so many days, the dominant demon finally realized something was wrong and knew that he had entered the land of the Divine Seal, so his bounty hunt also followed. Xiaopingan secretly felt lucky. Fortunately, he changed his vest. If he had been careless and still used Xiaopingan's name, he would have been the target of public criticism at this moment. The man who just told the news was wearing a blue robe, with a white face and no beard, holding a folding fan in his hand, and looked a bit like a handsome young man. When he saw everyone's eyes suddenly focused on him, some people asked where he got the news. The man coughed lightly and said, I have a friend whose kingdom of God is close to Xuanhuan Island. He just passed this news to me. As you all know, Xuanhuan Island has always been the most well-informed. Xuanhuan Island? Everyone had a look of understanding on their faces when they heard the name. Only Xiaopingan sent a message to Old Man Ye and asked, Where is the Xuanji Island? Xuanji Island is a special place in the Sea of the Kingdom of God. The sea area around Xuanji Island is the intersection of the 9 continents and the 7 ancestral mountains of the Kingdom of God. Therefore, Xuanji Island has become a gathering place for business news from all parties. As a result, the news on Xuanji Island is the most well-informed in the world of the Kingdom of God, and there are also many organizations selling news and intelligence on this island. As soon as Old Man Ye explained, Xiaopingan understood. Why does the demon lord want to hunt down this Xiaopingan, and what is the reward? Xiaopingan said with a deliberately interested look. This Xiaopingan is probably a demigod who has advanced recently. According to the news from Xuanji Island, when Xiaopingan was still in the Yuankai world and was not yet a demigod, the dominant demon god was already offering a reward to hunt him down. But this Xiaopingan is really surprising. Not only did he escape the pursuit of the demon god, he also advanced to demigod in a short period of time. What is even more incredible is that he was able to avoid the eyes and ears of the demon god and condense the divine bones. He unknowingly entered the land of the divine seal, preparing to attack the final stage of becoming a god. I don't know the reason why the dominant demon god is chasing this person. It's just that the reward of the dominant demon god has been spread all over Xuanji Island. As long as he can, if you provide the accurate hiding place and current whereabouts of Mrs. Xiaopingan, the demon lord will provide her with the great fire of the ancient god clan to help her become a god. As soon as the sentence came out, everyone present was in an uproar. Oh my god, it's actually the great Dao divine fire of the ancient god clan. I heard that once this thing is fused, it can quickly stabilize the divine status after becoming a god, and it can make the gods and consciousness immortal. The person who spoke was full of surprise. The great Dao divine fire of the ancient god clan, isn't it said that it disappeared during the Second Divine War? Is it still there with the dominant demon god? Old Man Ye asked with his eyes shining. I don't know about that. Anyway, the Lord Demon God's words have been released. You know, as a lord, you can't keep your word. What if someone kills Xiaopingan? If someone can kill Xiaopingan, in addition to the great Dao divine fire, the Overlord Demon God also promises to reward this person with a plain star field, and guarantees that the Overlord Demon God's subordinates will never invade. As soon as these words were spoken, some of the demigods around Xiaopingan took a breath. But in the blink of an eye, someone calmed down and sneered, the demon lord is so generous, but since Xiaopingan is so important to the demon god, he must deal with it quickly, so the so-called enemies' enemies are friends. If someone really can get the reward from the demon lord, he will probably lose his life. The Lord of Heaven cannot sit idly by and ignore what the Lord Demon God can give. The Lord of Heaven can also suppress him and take it back. Lord, the star realm plane that is not invaded by the demon god, and the heavenly Lord's subordinates cannot sit back and watch by default. Anyone who really gets the bounty is equivalent to putting himself on the crater of the volcano. That's the truth. The powerful demigods sitting here are all smart people with extraordinary intelligence. As soon as they think about these questions, everyone will understand, and everyone will calm down all of a sudden. If Xiaopingan joins our side and someone knows his identity, this reward will seduce people on our side to become traitors. Haha, traitors will not end well. They are seeking death themselves. It's just that I'm afraid there will be some people who are not clear-headed and can't stand the temptation. This bounty is probably the biggest stimulus to the dominant demon god and the Sanshan clan. Then since Xiaopingan has the ability to escape the pursuit of the dominant demon god and enter the land of the divine seal, how can he be easily discovered by others? It's not impossible to discover. No one knows where Xiaopingan is, but when he enters the land of the divine seal, his secret mandala and divine kingdom will definitely be revealed in the divine world. To find Xiaopingan, there needs to be a stupid person. The method is that as long as the dominant demon god can target and destroy the new kingdoms that have appeared in the world of gods in recent years one by one, he will definitely be able to target Xiaopingan and destroy Xiaopingan's kingdom and secret mandala, which is equivalent to killing Xiaopingan. Xiaopingan. Indeed so. In this way, the battle and turmoil to hunt down Xiaopingan is expected to continue in the kingdom of God, and the world of God's kingdom may not be peaceful. There are hundreds of millions of divine kingdoms in the world of divine kingdoms, and their territory is endless. The snobbery of all parties is intertwined in it. The 36 continents and the 72 ancestral mountains are growing and changing at any time. Those new divine kingdoms often appear in deserted lands. There is no way to lock them down. So easy. Those new divines in the wilderness will become the target of public criticism. Those kingdoms in the kingdom of gods that have already expressed their alignment and are affiliated with us should take action. The world of the kingdom of God is too complicated, and the kingdom of God who shows the camp is always in the minority. This is a tradition left over by the world of the kingdom of God for tens of thousands of years. Listening to the discussions around him, Xiaopingan's face remained as usual, but his mood became a little heavier and he felt pressure. Yes, even if the dominant demon god and everyone around him couldn't find out that Xuanhuan was Xiaopingan, but the so-called ability to run away, the monk cannot escape from the temple, but his divine kingdom may be exposed at any time. The dominating demon god already knows that he has arrived at the land of the divine seal, and the imminent crisis has come. The simplest and most direct way to deal with the crisis in the kingdom of God is divine power. As long as you have enough divine power, you can summon countless armies, and your kingdom of God and Lingxiao city will be more stable and can face any crisis. The fighting spirit boiling in his blood quietly spread through Xiaopingan's body like a flame again. Xiaopingan knew that he had to be prepared. As long as he could kill the opponent's demigod, his own divine power, there will be an endless stream. But, where is the chance to kill the opponent's demigod? Everyone, I have a question to ask. Xiaopingan cleared his throat and spoke. I have visited several Buddhist scripture towers in the past few days. The secret books in those Buddhist scripture towers really make me want to stop. It's just that those secret books require military merit points to borrow. I want to know if I want to earn military merit points by killing enemies. Is there any way? When you fuse the forbidden armor, you will naturally have a chance, a person next to him replied. There was a trace of embarrassment on Xiaopingan's face. He spread his hands and said, "It will take almost 100 days to fuse the forbidden armor. To be honest, the little bit of divine power I have accumulated has been consumed in the scripture tower in the past few days. It's almost over. I really have nothing to do in the remaining 100 days, so instead of just sitting around and wasting time in the sutra collection hall, I might as well try to earn some military merit points and gain some benefits for myself." Everyone looked at Xiaopingan with sympathy. After all the divine power points were used up and there were no military merit points, it was indeed a bit difficult to be in a place like the Sutra Collection Hall. They were not qualified to borrow any secret books. Ahem, for the sake of our colleagues, we are as close as brothers. Why don't you all lend me some divine power, 100,000 points for each person? I promise to return the divine power and divine crystal immediately. Xiaopingan looked at him with burning eyes. People around. With divine power, I will go. Everyone was startled, and the warm atmosphere just now suddenly cooled down. Wherever Xiaopingan's hot eyes looked, people consciously avoided looking away, and their eyes became wandering. No one spoke. Xiaopingan looked at old man Ye, who immediately wrinkled his face like a chrysanthemum and laughed twice. "Brother Long, I am also very tight on money here, and I don't have any extra divine power or divine crystals. I am still waiting for the divine power to be restored this month. If Brother Long is really short of divine power, I can borrow Brother Long, 200 points of divine power to deal with the emergency." 200 points of divine power? This old guy, thanks to you being a demigod, you can say all this, so stingy. Do you think I just became a summoner? What can I do with this little power? Not enough to summon a Templar. Ahem, everyone has just come out of the Forbidden Palace. We are new here, and everyone is very nervous about their divine power. We really don't have any extra divine power or divine crystals to lend. A man with a Chinese character in the crowd said, "This brother, if you are in urgent need of divine power and want to earn military merit points, I actually know a way to earn military merit points, but I don't know if this brother dares to go or not." "Oh, is this method dangerous?" Xiaopingan asked immediately. "Of course, this method is very dangerous, almost risking one's life. Only a few people will choose to take this path." The man with the Chinese character face looked at Xiaopingan with burning eyes. "What method?" "War, God, competition, field." The man slowly spat out 5 words. After hearing this, many people around him changed their expression slightly. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1004. Electric light flashed in the sky with rolling dark clouds, and it was pouring rain. On the ground, the outline of a majestic building that looked like an arena was looming in the electric light from the sky. The huge arena covers an area of almost 1 square kilometer. On the ground in the middle of the arena, there are many weapons of all sizes scattered, including swords, guns, swords and halberds. The arena is surrounded by rocks. A circle of stands stood up, amidst the lightning in the sky. On these ancient rocks, there were some mysterious runes looming in the rocks. In the middle of the arena, there stood a huge, dark statue of a god. The statue was 100 meters high, with its upper body naked, revealing its hill-like muscles and strong bones. The statue held a spear in one hand and a spear in the other. Holding a shield, the head of the statue has 2 faces at the same time. One face is covered with scales and has horns on its head. It is as ferocious as a demon, showing a mouthful of sharp teeth and roaring silently, while the other face is a human form, full of holy brilliance, with lowered eyes, and the whole statue is filled with an unspeakable charm. Occasionally, lightning in the sky will hit the spear of the statue, causing the spear to sparkle with lightning, and the eyes of the statue will turn blood red, which is awe-inspiring. Boom! Thunder rolling. A purple-red lightning broke through the clouds from the sky and hit the ground of the huge arena. As the lightning dissipated, a figure with a light blue brilliance gradually revealed himself in the heavy rain. "God of War Arena, here I come." Xiaopingan stood in the heavy rain, looked up at the gloomy sky, and then at the environment here. His eyes flashed, and a smile gradually appeared at the corners of his mouth. At this moment, Xiaopingan's blood was already boiling, and the heart of the ancient god in his chest was almost agitated. Yes, this is the arena of the god of war, one of the most bizarre, bloody, and dangerous secret realms in the entire land of the Divine Seal. It is known as the territory of the god of war and the battlefield of the lonely brave. It is a paradise for gods that existed countless years ago in the age of the ancient gods. All demigods who have not merged with the forbidden armor can enter here, but everyone who enters here will be suppressed by the powerful laws of the god of war. Their divine power, magical abilities, formations, talismans, and divine skills are all it cannot be used. People who enter here can only rely on their own bodies to engage in the most primitive, cruel, and bloody fighting. Only the bravest and strongest dare to enter such a fighting arena. The 2 dominant camps have space channels to enter here. After learning that there is such a place, Xiaopingan applied and entered here today. Before coming, Xiaopingan had already roughly understood the situation and rules of the God of War arena. In fact, there is not only one arena in this secret realm, but countless ones. Different arenas have different fighting rules, and some are one-on-one, some are many-on-many, and some battles are conducted in more complex environments. The brave and strong who are willing to enter here will be randomly selected when the space teleportation array is linked to this secret realm. Teleport to one of the arenas. In this God of War arena, the only thing to do is to defeat opponents and enemies through the most primitive fighting method to win. Of course, you may also be killed by the opponent. If you win here and kill the enemy, in addition to gaining military merit points, you will also get rewards from the God of War Arena. The rewards from the God of War Arena will permanently increase the half-god summoner who enters here. The recovery value of the divine power of the secret mandala of the god summoner every month. For example, before some strong demigods came here, he could recover 26,000 points in the secret mandala every month according to the upper limit of divine power. Then, after entering here and winning a victory, he would get the reward of the God of War Arena. The upper limit of the divine power of the moon secret mandala remains unchanged at 26,000 points, but the restored divine power can break through the upper limit of his divine power and add some more, such as an increase of 2,000 points to reach 28,000 points. As for how much more divine power the winner can gain, it is not certain. Precisely because the rewards of the God of War Arena will permanently increase the summoner's divine power recovery ability, there is no shortage of strong demigods who dare to enter here to fight for their lives, whether they are the dominant demon god or the dominant god of heaven. Xiaopingan, who clearly saw the environment here, did not waste time and ran directly towards the open space in front of him. In the open space, there were some weapons on the ground. Those weapons were provided by the God of War Arena and could not be taken away. They could only used here. In the blink of an eye, Xiaopingan picked up a huge two-handed sword more than 1 meter long from the ground, and picked up a round shield. Both of these things were pitch black, and no material could be seen, but it feels quite heavy in the hand. The weight of that two-handed giant sword is tens of thousands of kilograms. This weight is impossible for ordinary people to lift, but for the strong demigods who can enter here, it is impossible to lift such a weight with the strength of the body. The weapon seemed very light. The round shield weighed 7 or 8,000 kilograms. And on the huge two-handed sword, there were dark red bloodlines on the sword. I don't know how many people had been killed here by this sword. People. It was still raining in the sky with lightning and thunder. Xiaopingan, who had the weapon in his hand, waited quietly in the heavy rain. At the same time, he moved his body and gently waved the weapon and shield adapted to his hand. The clothes on his body were soaked in the blink of an eye, but Xiaopingan didn't care. In the middle of the arena, at this moment, there is a dark red translucent barrier, which divides the arena into two and isolates Xiaopingan on one side of the arena. This barrier, which was not there just now, followed Xiaopingan. After arriving, this barrier appeared. Xiaopingan did not wait too long, but less than 10 minutes later, as the same purple-red lightning fell on the arena, another change occurred, and a figure with a faint red light all over his body walked away from the lightning. Come out. It was a strong human demigod, with a face as white as paper, blood-red eyes, and a blood-red eye tattooed in the middle of his forehead. He was wearing a black warrior uniform, and his whole body exuded a cold and sharp aura. When he came out, he saw Xiaopingan. He quickly rushed to the field, picked up a shield and a spear on the ground, then pursed his lips and stared at Xiaopingan here like needles, slowly moving toward the center of the arena. He was like a hungry wolf ready to hunt. Seeing this person appear, Xiaopingan did not dare to be careless, because those who could come here were all brave and strong among the demigods. He took a deep breath, stared at him with squinted eyes, and slowly walked toward him with his feet. Walk towards the middle of the arena. At this time, on this occasion, both parties already know that the other party is their enemy of life and death. In the end, only one of them can leave here alive, while the other person has his life, glory, history, and practice to this day. Everything I have now will stay here and come to an end. Rumble. Another flash of lightning flashed in the sky. As this flash of lightning flashed, the translucent barrier in the middle of the arena disappeared instantly. The gate that isolated the beasts opened, and the two beasts finally could face-to-face fight. The man on the opposite side started to trot, and Xiaopingan also started to trot. Both of them rushed towards each other, and the distance between them was quickly closing. When the distance between the two sides was about 500 meters, the man had already started to attack Xiaopinggan. While the man was running, he thrust the spear in his hand toward the ground. A long black knife on the ground was flicked by the tip of his spear. It bounced off the ground in an instant, with a loud roar that broke the sound barrier, and with a sound, it turned into an afterimage and shot towards Xiaopinggan, as fast as lightning. Almost as soon as Xiaopinggan deviated his steps and accelerated to avoid the blow, the man's spear almost hit Xiaopinggan's face. Go to hell! The man's face was ferocious, and his gun shot out like a dragon. Xiaopinggan slashed out with his sword, directly hitting the tip of the spear. Boom! With the terrifying force, all the water droplets within a radius of 100 meters exploded, shooting in all directions like bullets and hidden weapons. Xiaopinggan's clothes were instantly dry, and there was no more water droplets on his body. The man was sent flying backwards by Xiaopinggan's sword. Xiaopinggan was also shaken back by the terrifying power from the talon's spear. But almost in the blink of an eye, Xiaopinggan felt the heart of the ancient god in his chest beating powerfully. The body of the god in his body seemed to be awakened. A brand new surging power emerged from him in an instant. The heart spreads to every cell and every meridian and muscle in the whole body. This force was so powerful that it was like a volcano erupting in his body. Roar! Xiaopinggan, who had just taken 2 steps back, let out an angry roar. Instead of retreating, he moved forward. With a strong movement of his feet, his whole body rushed towards that person like lightning. Xiaopinggan's opponent was being knocked back by the head-on blow just now. He had been very calm at first, but at this time, seeing Xiaopinggan just take 2 steps back from his shot, his body burst out with terrifying power. He rushed towards him, a look of panic suddenly showing on his face. Impossible, how could he recover so quickly? Xiaopinggan was already slashing at him with one sword. This sword stirred up wind and thunder. Because the speed was too fast, the blade of the pitch-black sword rubbed against the air too fiercely, and the blade seemed to be on fire. Boom! There was another loud earthquake. The spear in Xiaopinggan's opponent's hand was cut off by a sword and flew out of his hand. Under the terrifying force, the spear shook violently. The man's fingers, wrists, arms, and shoulders were all blown away by a huge force. Shattered, the whole person vomited golden blood and flew backwards screaming. He has always been a strong demigod, and his body is different from ordinary people. He also has some abilities and background. Although his 2 arms have been completely shattered, when he was sent flying backwards, his arms exploded at his shoulders. At the shattered fracture, new muscles, bones and tissues are growing rapidly. Xiaopinggan let out a long roar, it was so refreshing. With this sword, Xiaopinggan seemed to feel that all the depression in his chest was cut out with this sword. For a moment, his whole person felt an ethereal and clear feeling. The power coming from the heart is endless, and the body is like opening up. At this moment, Xiaopinggan feels that his body is like the incarnation of an ancient god, with terrifying power in his every move. Before the man landed, Xiaopinggan had already jumped up, like an eagle soaring into the sky, with the giant sword in his hand, and slashed towards the man again. The man's face finally showed a look of despair. Even if his body's recovery ability was strong, once the damage exceeded his recovery limit, he would still die once he suffered a fatal attack. At this moment, the hands had not fully grown, and the man wanted to dodge, but Xiaopinggan's speed made the man feel that he seemed clumsy for the first time. After this sword strike, the man finally failed to escape. Looking at the approaching sword light, he let out a miserable howl of unwillingness. The sword not only has terrifying power, but also has super speed. The high-frequency vibrating blade can cut hundreds of times in 1 second. Boom! A streak of blood mixed with divine power, energy, blood, and essence rose into the sky like wolf smoke. In the bloody light, the powerful enemy's body had shattered and disappeared, leaving only such a mark of energy rising into the sky. Xiaopingan stood in front of the bloody light, pointing his sword at the ground, fighting spirit boiling in his body, and let out a long roar again. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1005. Roar. The beast-shaped demigod in front of him, who was more than 30 meters tall, roared, spurted blood from his mouth, and struggled in vain. He stretched one hand towards his head, trying to pull Xiaopingan, who had jumped on top of it, away from him. After grabbing his head, the long sword in Xiaopingan's hand had penetrated into his skull, almost cutting his head open, causing it unbearable pain and feeling the fear of death for the first time. Go to hell. Xiaopingan, who was standing on the monster's head, had a cold look, and with a strong hand, the giant sword that had been inserted into the monster's body was pulled out with a clatter, and the blue-green blood on the monster's head was suddenly it shot up into the sky like a fountain, spraying dozens of meters into the air. Immediately, the giant sword shook in Xiaopingan's hand and made a soft buzzing sound. With just a flash of sword light, the high-speed cutting blade directly ignited the air in the arena. The beast-shaped demigod headed towards his head. The big hand as thick as a tree trunk that he grabbed had been cut off by the giant sword in Xiaopingan's hand. Blood spurted out again. The beast-shaped demigod let out another scream and staggered. The next second, Xiaopingan had jumped up again. In the flash of light and stone, his whole person was like a bolt of lightning striking from the sky. He held a giant sword and struck down the beast-shaped demigod from the back of his head. The sharp blade of the sword struck him. The sharp edge went downwards along the spine, and finally cut through the tail of the beast-shaped demigod. On the back of the beast-shaped demigod, a path was left that was more than 1 meter deep and nearly 30 or 40 meters long. The huge incision almost seemed to cut open the huge body of this beast-shaped demigod. After the sword cut, Xiaopingan stopped moving. He stood on the ground and looked at the huge body of the beast-shaped demigod, which was like a tall building, with brown-red scales all over his body and horns on his head. Screaming, he staggered back a few steps, and then fell down in the arena like a jade pillar pushing down a mountain of gold. The vitality of the beast-shaped demigod is really terrifying. Even so, it is still not dead, but the blue-green blood on its body is pouring out of its body like a flood. Xiaopingan's sword just now almost killed important blood vessels in its body were completely severed. In the blink of an eye, the blood soaked through half of the arena floor and soaked through the soles of Xiaopingan's boots. The beast-shaped demigod was roaring and struggling. At the wounds on its body, countless tiny snow-white muscle fibers were like reeds blown by the wind, and like countless tiny snakes and earthworms, extending from the wounds caused by the giant sword. While frantically repairing the wounds on its body, the giant beast demigod wanted to stand up again, but the wound on its back was deep and long, and had destroyed the muscles, bones and supporting organs in its body. Before the body fully recovered, it wanted to it's more difficult to stand up. Is this the demigod transformation of the Dragon Demon clan, one of the most physically powerful races in the universe? It's just like a human being. Xiaopingan looked at the opponent who fell to the ground with cold eyes, shook his head slightly, and then he calmly walked towards the beast-shaped demigod struggling on the ground. Along the way, he dropped the sword in his hand and picked up a sword that was more than 4 meters long and weighed more than 100 tons. With his huge war hammer and his boots touching the blood on the ground, he stepped closer to the beast-shaped demigod who was still struggling to stand up. The breath of death finally arrived. When Xiaopingan was close to the beast-shaped demigod, which was still more than 20 meters away, the beast-shaped demigod who fell on the ground roared, stood up crookedly, and unwillingly used the other one to fight back. The huge sharp claws that were still intact grabbed Xiaopingan. Xiaopingan swung the heavy hammer in his hand. Boom! The arena sounded like thunder. Blood foam and broken bones spurted out from the body of the beast-shaped demigod. The huge claws of the beast-shaped demigod were completely shattered, and the newly healed wounds on his body were all torn apart. Under the infusion of a huge force that was difficult to resist, the giant pillar-like steel spine of the beast-shaped demigod was blasted out of the wound on its back like a curved bow, and countless cracks appeared on the vertebrae. Thick golden marrow fluid overflowed from its spine, and there was a strange aroma. The beast-shaped demigod's huge body, which blended into a small mountain, was turned into an afterimage by Xiaopingan's hammer. He flew more than 400 meters from the ground and hit the stone wall at the edge of the arena. Mysterious golden runes lit up on the wall. This time, the beast-shaped demigod no longer had the strength to stand up, because most of the bones in its body had been broken. Xiaopingan, holding the giant hammer, was like an indifferent dragon slayer and executioner, still walking towards the beast-shaped demigod step by step. I am, Digulath Glyandulai, the most powerful prince in the Dragon Demon Empire, the blood descendant of the Dragon Demon Golden family, the most promising existence of the Dragon Demon clan to become a god. Lying down, the beast-shaped demigod on the ground opened his huge golden eyes and watched Xiaopingan walk in step by step. He opened his mouth and vomited blood, and roared out human words in the blood. He was weak and arrogant, the physical strength of the human summoner. It can't be so powerful. I smell the breath of a powerful god in you. What's your name? It doesn't matter to me who you are. In this place, the loser doesn't need to know the name of the winner. Anyway, from the moment you enter here, the outcome is already doomed. Xiaopingan spoke indifferently, already calmly walked to the head of the fallen prince of the Dragon Demon Empire. Even if it fell to the ground, that head was much higher than Xiaopingan's body. It stood in front of Xiaopingan like a huge rock. The eyes of the most powerful prince in the Demon Empire were open, and Xiaopingan's entire body was just a little taller than his golden eyes. At this moment, Digula's Gryandulai's body is in his second form. When he entered here just now, like Xiaopingan, he came in human form. However, after a short and fierce battle, Xiaopingan's human form was broken and turned into what it is now, but even so, the ending cannot be changed. The Dragon Demon Golden family will avenge me. The prince of the Dragon Demon Empire roared. Xiaopingan smiled coldly and raised the black hammer in his hand. The Golden family of the Dragon Demon universe had already split during the First Divine War. The real descendants of the Dragon God from the Dragon Demon Huang family, with your Dragon Ball treasure, you have long since surrendered to the side of the Lord of Heaven, guarding the central galaxy cluster of the Dragon Demon universe. They are far more powerful than you guys who are blinded by hatred and greed, and they still want to take revenge. You guys like this, I will kill as many as you come. Just wait and see how many more people in your family will die at my hands in the future, you stupid reptile. Roar. Amidst the unwilling roar of the prince of the Dragon Demon Empire, the heavy hammer in Xiaopingan's hand had already hit the prince of the Dragon Demon Empire's head hard. Boom. The entire God of War arena seemed to be shaken by this blow, and the huge body of the prince of the Dragon Demon Empire was reduced to ashes under this hammer. Another bloody wolf smoke mixed with powerful blood energy rose into the sky from the arena. This wolf smoke marked the fall of a strong demigod again. The only difference from the past is that this time, in the bloody wolf smoke, there was still a trace of golden light and bloody light floating towards Xiaopingan. Xiaopingan frowned slightly. The golden light had been absorbed by his body. After absorbing it, Xiaopingan saw a golden ring pattern on the ring finger of his left hand. The pattern was a magic dragon, like a tattoo wrapped around his finger, and like a ring. It was so lifelike that it was difficult to notice. When I look at it, I don't think it's anything special. Is this the legendary blood feud emblem of the demonic dragon clan? It's golden. It's the mark of the royal family. Xiaopingan smiled slightly and didn't mind. This thing was similar to the curse of the demonic wolf clan when he first learned it. A medal for the strong. As long as the strength is strong, the curse of this emblem is just a joke. This is the 89th one. I don't know what character will enter here next. Xiaopingan looked at the sky, found a place, sat cross-legged and closed his eyes, ready to continue waiting for the next opponent to enter. The strongest prince of the Dragon Demon Empire is the 89th opponent he has killed here these days. However, this time Xiaopingan did not wait too long, because just half an hour later, Xiaopingan felt agitation deep in the center of his eyebrows, and streams of divine power continued to radiate from the center of his eyebrows to his whole body, causing his body to tremble. His whole body was heating up. Xiaopingan, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground, slowly began to float. Xiaopingan suddenly opened his eyes, with a look of surprise in his eyes. Is the time up? Unknowingly, it had been nearly 100 days since he had been here, and the set of forbidden armor in his body was about to complete its fusion. Then, before Xiaopingan could react, he was kicked out of the God of War arena. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1006. In the blink of an eye, Xiaopingan found himself back in the Crouching Dragon territory, standing in the space teleportation array where he entered the God of War arena that day. The space teleportation array used by Wolong to enter the Ares arena is not outdoors, but indoors. I heard that this is a measure taken to prevent some people from entering by mistake and being teleported to the Ares arena. Each teleportation array has a separate in the hall. Outside the teleportation array, there is a separate puppet agency guarding it. All those who want to enter the arena of war to fight for their lives must apply for review and complete certain procedures. However, the application review procedure is very simple, as long as you have courage and are sane. The above will not stop you from going to the Ares arena to fight powerful enemies. In the God of War arena, after each fight, the winner can take the initiative to return to the teleportation point, or choose to stay in the God of War arena, waiting for the next opponent to arrive and continue fighting. Xiaopingan chose the latter, and he has stayed in the God of War arena for nearly 100 days, winning 89 battles. If this record were exposed in Wolong territory, it would definitely cause a sensation. However, except for Xiaopingan himself and the military merit records on the Military Merit World Pearl, no one else could know what happened in the God of War arena. After 89 fights, Xiaopingan received 5,320 military merit points. Winning in the arena usually earns 50 basic military merit points, but if the opponent is strong, the military merit points gained will be more than 50 points. In addition to military merit points, Xiaopingan's biggest gain is his monthly divine power recovery value in the secret Mandala temple. After receiving 89 blessings from the God of War arena, there are more people in the sky caisson of his temple. There are 89 stars representing the rewards of the God of War arena. Those 89 stars can restore an additional 71,762 points of divine power to him every month. However, his current upper limit of divine power is only 27,498 points. Therefore, Xiaopingan's monthly divine power is already enough at this moment. Recovering 99,260 points, this is the reward from the God of War after 89 consecutive victories. Destiny favors the true brave. Other changes, in addition to further realizing the mystery of the ancient god's heart and the transformation and strengthening of his body, are the tempering and progress of his state of mind and temperament. At this moment, Xiaopingan is like a king returning from the battlefield, and the same as that day. Compared with before entering the God of War arena, his temperament was already somewhat different. His whole person faintly revealed a powerful aura of calmness and self-reliance. In his gentle eyes, there was a faint gleam like the sword in the hand of the God of War. It is sharp and has an aura that can put great pressure on other demigods. Welcome the fearless warriors to return to Wolong territory. The puppet machine in the hall saw Xiaopingan appear, bowed to Xiaopingan, and then said in a patterned voice. If he had known about the God of War arena earlier and gone there a few days earlier, he might have been able to kill a few more opponents. The amount of divine power he could restore every month should have exceeded 100,000 points. This thought flashed through Xiaoping's head, and with a slight smile, he calmly left the teleportation platform and walked towards the door of the hall. At the door of the hall, a strong demigod nearly 3 meters tall, with a body like an iron tower and a ferocious golden mask on his face, had just come in from the door. He was preparing to walk to the teleportation platform to enter the God of War arena for the most dangerous battle. Challenge, the demigod strongman met Xiaoping at the door. He just glanced at Xiaoping, and couldn't help but trembled in his heart. He quickly took a step away from the side, bowed his head in greeting, and respectfully moved out of the way of the door. Xiaoping glanced at this powerful demigod, nodded slightly, and then walked out of the hall. What a terrible man! The strong demigod turned his head and glanced at Xiaoping's back with awe, and remembered Xiaoping's appearance firmly. This was the 4th time he had entered the arena of the God of War. He had won 3 times before, but he had just won. Seeing Xiaoping, my heart still trembled and I felt inexplicable fear. I didn't know what that man had experienced in the God of War arena to have such a powerful and terrifying aura. The place where you enter the arena of the gods is hundreds of kilometers away from the Sutra Collection Hall. It is in a valley. Teleportation arrays are hidden in the buildings in the valley, making it quite quiet. Xiaoping walked out of the hall and went outside. He found that the sky was filled with sunlight and it was already evening, and the forbidden armor in his body was merging faster. The fusion will be completed in about 48 hours. Xiaoping whispered to himself. The fusion of the forbidden armor in his body was a bit strange to Xiaoping. The forbidden armor was like a thorn. The spear tip broke through the hard ice layer of the world's laws, and his body seemed to feel a trace of the 5 elements energy surging in the world under the ice layer. Xiaoping did not return to the Sutra Collection Hall, but took out the metal butterfly that Mozang gave him, and activated the metal butterfly with only a little divine power. The activated metal butterfly flew twice around Xiaoping, and then flew towards the northwest at a very fast speed, directly drawing a stream of light and shadow in the air. With a bang, Xiaoping transformed into a white crane and flew away with the metal butterfly. The butterfly did not enter the various teleportation arrays in Wolong's territory for teleportation, but kept flying. After flying for about 3 hours, when it got dark, the butterfly finally flew to a lively town. This town is full of fireworks. There are pubs and restaurants everywhere. Colorful lanterns are hung in strings on the streets, which makes people relax. The streets are full of vendors selling various things and performing acrobatics. And juggler. Xiaoping found this place interesting. Although the vendors and juggling artists were all summoned characters, many people coming and going in this town were all demigods. These powerful demigods come here to drink, eat, and listen to music, just like ordinary people. The metal butterfly flew directly to a 2-story wine house with a string of red lanterns hanging outside. Xiaoping turned into a human again outside the wine house, then opened the door of the wine house and walked in. The lights in the wine house are dim and quite quiet. The strong aroma of wine and fried peanuts permeate the wine house, with a worldly atmosphere. There are only 2 tables of guests on the first floor of the wine house, sitting in the northeast and southwest corners of the wine house. Both ends. As soon as Xiaoping came in, he saw Mozang. Mozang was in the northeast corner of the wine house, sitting with 2 other people drinking wine. The metal butterfly stopped on Mozang's finger. Mozang looked towards the door. When I came over, I saw Xiaoping pushing the door in. A smile suddenly appeared on Mozang's face, and then he stood up. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1007. Xuanhuan, I'm glad you can come. Mozang said these 2 words softly in his mouth. Half of his face was covered with a cold mask, which made the smile on his face, even if it was sincere, look only half of it stood up, and the other half of the face was the up and down curved corners of the cold mask. This picture looked a bit weird and even made people shudder. "Yes, I'm here," Xiaopinggan said, having already walked over. His eyes swept over the two people sitting with Mo Xiang. One of the two people was a man, with a bald head and a dark face. He had a beard, a strong body, and his eyes were shining. His whole body was full of violence, like an explosive pack that could be ignited at any time. This man reminded Xiaopinggan of Lao Tu, Tupolu. The other person at the table is a woman, wearing a red warrior uniform, with a slim and graceful figure. Xiaopinggan only knows that this person is a woman, but does not know what she looks like, because this woman also wears a black mask on her face. Metal mask. This mask is a ferocious grimace. The grimace mask covers the woman's nose, only exposing her lips and chin. The outline of the woman's lips looks very beautiful, and there is a small black mole on the edge of her lips. Although I haven't seen what she looks like, I don't know why, but this woman always gives people a charming feeling. Xiaopinggan found that many women who entered this world liked to wear masks to cover their faces. He didn't know why. Maybe it was some kind of custom and habit. There were still 2 empty seats next to Mo Xiang's table. Xiaopinggan was not polite. He walked over and sat down on a seat. He also picked up the wine glass on the table and gave it to himself with a normal expression. "I poured a glass of wine, and it wasn't drunk at all." "Captain, this is the person you are talking about." The bald man looked at Xiaopinggan carefully. His eyes flashed, and in the blink of an eye he looked at Xiaopinggan from head to toe dozens of times, and then his eyes shrank slightly. "What's wrong with him? The evil spirit is very strong, it should have killed many people, which is interesting. Didn't you say that he hasn't mastered the divine skills yet?" What the bald man said was directly transmitted to the ears of several people with divine power, and others could not hear it even if they were sitting nearby. As a strong demigod, drinking and chatting here, this chat mode is just a basic operation. Mo Xiang's eyes were also focused on Xiaopinggan. He also felt that Xiaopinggan at this moment was very different from the last time he met him. Although it was only a little more than 100 days, Xiaopinggan's body was very different. The changes are very obvious. At this moment, Xiaopinggan does not look like a newcomer who has not joined the Black Flame. Instead, he looks like someone who has stayed in the Black Flame for a long time and has just returned from performing the most dangerous mission. As a demigod, if a strong person carries the lives of other demigod-strong people, his temperament will be completely different. "What have you been through these past few days?" Mo Xiang asked. "Should we go to the Ares arena?" the masked woman spoke, her voice slightly hoarse, with a hint of laziness. Her eyes glanced at the ring finger of Xiaopinggan's left hand, and a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. "At least he killed one demigod from the Golden Dragon family. His strength is outstanding among newcomers. Coupled with his performance in the Sutra Collection Hall, he should be qualified to join the Black Flame. Well, I stayed in the God of War arena for a few days and earned some military merit points." Xiaopinggan raised his glass to Mo Xiang. "I officially decided to join the Black Flame today. I don't know what the rules of the Black Flame are. It's just me. The rule is that no matter how strong the enemy is on the battlefield, I will never abandon my comrades and run away, nor will I hinder my comrades. Please take care of me in the future." After saying that, Xiaopinggan took the wine from the wine glass in his hand. "Drink it all in one gulp." "Ha ha ha, I like this kid." The bald man laughed. "Okay, from now on, you are an official member of Team 179 of the Black Flame Division of the Demigod Legion under the Lord of Heaven. You are welcome to join." Mo Xiang solemnly nodded to Xiaopinggan. "In the future, the mission of Team 179 will also be as far as our common mission is concerned. Team 179 does not have the habit of running away without teammates or letting team members become cannon fodder. We all shoulder everything together. Xiaopinggan touched his nose and asked, if I join the Black Flame, do I need to go through any procedures? No need, I will handle this procedure. You just need to go to the temple and the Black Flame department to complete the registration. After joining the Black Flame, after you integrate the forbidden armor, you don't have to be assigned to the fortress like other newcomers. You can directly carry out the mission with us, Mo Xiang said, and with a wave of his hand, he summoned a figure wrapped in black mist. That figure looked a bit like an assassin, but Xiaopinggan was not sure. Mo Xiang took out a seal and gave it to the figure in the black mist. The figure in the black mist took the seal, bowed to Mo Xiang, then put it down and disappeared underground. As a powerful summoner at the demigod level, summoning an errand boy is so simple that everyone is not surprised. By the way, let me introduce to you, his name is Nanhe. Mo Xiang pointed at the bald head and then at the woman, her name is Zi Ling. Both of them are members of Team 179, and they have also mastered the gods. Skill, he can be regarded as the old man of Black Flame. The bald man who called Nanhe didn't say anything, but Zi Ling snorted dissatisfiedly, as if he was coquettish. Why am I old? I'm still a little girl. A girl over 3,000 years old. Nanhe touched his bald head and muttered in a low voice. Then he immediately saw the woman's eyes staring over. The bald man felt a cold breath coming over him, causing the hair on his back to grow. They all exploded. Thinking of this woman's magical skills, the bald man laughed dryly. I'm just talking nonsense, I'm talking nonsense. Then he quickly lowered his head, covered his head, and stopped talking while drinking. Ahem, are we the only ones in Team 179? Yes, there were only 3 of us in Team 179 before. It's quite a coincidence that you came today and caught up with us gathering here. Now if you are included, there will be 4 of us. 3 people? Xiaopinggan really didn't expect that the so-called Team 179 had only so many people. It was really beyond his expectation. He had thought that there would be at least 10 people. Mo Xiang saw Xiaopinggan's doubts. Normally, Black Flame's team composition is between 3 and 5 people. 6 people belong to the reinforced team, and 7 people are already considered a special team. After all, the demigod is not a strong person by K, demigods who master spiritual skills are even rarer. Anyone who joins the Black Flame, if they go to other universes and planes, as a demigod, can easily destroy a planet or a civilization and race. The strength. If you form a combat team with 3 to 5 people, it will be easier to cooperate during the battle and the combat efficiency will be higher. Xiaopinggan nodded, feeling that he understood. After all, every team in the Black Flame department is too strong. 3 or 5 people can already perform many tasks. Take himself as an example. If the tasks he performs do not involve demigods or other gods, if they return to the world of Yuan-Kai or the earth, they can dominate almost everything. The most critical point should be combat cooperation. When there are more people, the efficiency of combat cooperation will be low. For strong demigods, for example, 3 or 5 people, no more than 7 at most, should be the summary of He Yan's experience over the years. What if we encounter some particularly difficult tasks that exceed the team's capabilities? Then it will be completed by several teams working together. Black Flame will also send higher-level experts to command and coordinate the actions of each team, Mo Xiang replied. Understood, Xiaopinggan nodded. Do we have any tasks now? What do we need from me? Team 179 has not received any new missions right now. We still have a rest period of more than 70 days. During this period, we can just get familiar with some coordination in battle. Oh, how to get along? It depends on the captain. Zi Ling glanced at Mo Xiang and spoke, smiling sweetly at Xiaopinggan. Don't worry, little brother, sister will take care of you. The captain's spiritual skills are very special and very high level. You will know when the time comes. The bald man Nan, he said in a low voice. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1008. What, you have joined the Black Flame? Old man Ye looked at Xiaopingan with surprise and disbelief on his face. The wine glass in his hand also solidified. When did this happen? Just last night, Xiaopingan smiled at old man Ye. He chatted with Mo Xiang and others for a long time last night, and then returned to his residence in the Sutra Collection Hall at night. Then from last night to now, almost the entire day, Xiaopingan has been at his residence, recuperating and recuperating, patiently waiting for the final fusion of the forbidden armor in his body. At night, old man Yehu found that Xiaopingan had returned hurriedly. When Xiaopingan came to visit, he prepared wine and food, and then told old man Ye where he was going. Brother Ye, don't be so surprised. Do you know what kind of army the Black Flame is? How high is the casualty rate of joining the Black Flame? Old man Ye asked with a solemn expression. I know, Xiaopingan nodded, I'm mentally prepared. Brother, you are not in the Sutra Collection Hall these days. Is it related to the Black Flame? I have heard before that the Black Flame will be looking for some candidates to join the Black Flame among the newcomers. Roughly the same. Hey, brother, what are you planning on doing? Why don't you play it slow and steady? Why are you in such a hurry? Look at how you are now, brother. These days, it's like coming back from the battlefield. You and I are walking around the world with safety first. Danger actually also means opportunity. I have only one goal, and that is to become a god. Besides, no matter what, there will always be people who want to join the Black Flame. Old man Ye looked at Xiaopingan with complicated eyes, shook his head with a wry smile, and raised the wine glass again. Since you know it, brother, I won't say more, brother. I knew about you last time in the Forbidden Palace. He is very comparable to others, and his future prospects are limitless. I wish my brother a great future and will ignite the sacred fire of the Great Road as soon as possible. According to my good wishes, I also wish you to light up the sacred fire of the avenue as soon as possible. Xiaopingan and old man Ye clinked their glasses, and then they each drank the wine in their hands. Everyone's forbidden armor is almost ready to be integrated. We will leave the Sutra Collection Hall the day after tomorrow and officially join the demigod army under the command of the Lord of Heaven. We will be assigned to the fortress. I don't know if there will be a chance to meet in the future. In the past, I dreamed about merging the forbidden armor, but now that I have fused it, I feel more nervous. Alas, this damn war between gods has disturbed the peace of all realms in the universe. There are wars everywhere. As demigods, we are all frightened. I don't know. When will it be? Old man Ye rarely showed his emotions, with a look of distress on his face. As long as you and I are alive, we will naturally have opportunities. I am also a free and easy person. There are some things that are not decided by you and me. Why should I worry about it? You're right, I'm laughing at you. Old man Ye poured wine for himself and Xiaopingan. I'll drink 3 drinks as a penalty. By the way, brother, I'll give this back to you. Xiaopingan said, already moving his hand. He took out a golden key and handed it over. This is your thing, brother, I haven't touched it yet. After that, just return it to its original owner. Maybe I will need the things inside more in the future. This key was originally obtained by Xiaopingan by knocking on old Ye's bamboo pole. These days, Xiaopingan has never used the key to open the secret vault that old Ye left in Wolong territory. They are a little bit different, but they are still people to be friends with, and they are friends, but with one heart. No matter what is in this secret vault, it is okay not to open it. Old man Ye looked at the key, then at Xiaopingan, then silently put away the secret key and smiled. I didn't expect that at my age, I would actually have a brother. The two of them drank, and they didn't know how much they drank in the end, because old man Ye would always, like a magic trick, take out jars of spirits that had been stored for who knows how many years from his secret mandala. Some of the wine, knowing what it was brewed, even if Xiaoping'an was a demigod, he could still feel tipsy after taking a sip, his cheeks were a little hot, and his blood was a little agitated and hot. At the end of the drink, old man Ye summoned several beauties wearing royal robes and holding musical instruments. Surrounded by the beauties, they sang and danced, becoming a little crazy, and even pulled Xiaoping'an to sing together. Jump! Brother, I don't have any other good things. I can see that I am looking for world beads everywhere. These 2 world beads are collected by me myself. They are also rare. I heard that these 2 world beads complement each other. If being able to fuse will be of great benefit to the entire secret mandala. However, the divine mind crystals of these 2 world beads are even rarer and are rare to find in 100 years. Therefore, I have not fused them. I will leave it to you, brother, to think about it. I feel that, brother, you should be able to fuse one day. Before leaving, old man Ye also stuffed 2 world beads into Xiaoping'an's hands, and then left. Xiaoping'an looked at the 2 boundary beads. One boundary bead had 5 small seal characters on it, King Wen performed the Book of Changes, and the other boundary bead also had 5 small seal characters on it, Confucius made 10 wings. Xiaoping'an was still slightly drunk in his consciousness, but when he saw these 2 world beads, he had a quick thought, and the drunkenness disappeared all of a sudden. Fuxi made Bagua, and Zhou Wen Wangji Kang evolved the Book of Changes, which is also the Book of Changes based on Fuxi Bagua. The Book of Changes is one of the sources of Chinese civilization, and Confucius wrote 10 wings to the Book of Changes. Further explanation was given that the 3 are of the same origin. In Xiaoping'an's secret mandala, only the Bagua had evolved before, and the contents of these 2 world beads had not evolved. And on this night, after old man Ye left, the forbidden armor in Xiaoping'an's body finally completely integrated with him. The fused forbidden armor turned into a bit of golden light suspended in Xiaoping'an's sea of consciousness. As long as Xiaoping'an made a thought, the forbidden armor instantly covered Xiaoping'an's body, making Xiaoping'an instantly having the ability to break the taboos of the law, communicate with the energy of heaven and earth, and use the combination of law and martial arts. For a strong demigod, this feeling can only be described in one word: freedom. The group of people who came to the Sutra Collection Hall left together the next day. Except for Xiaoping'an, old man Ye, Gu Xinyi and others were all taken away as they came and rushed to the battlefield that belonged to them. On this day, Xiaoping'an also left the Sutra Collection Hall and came to a base area of Team 179 in Wolong territory, where he began team training with Mo Ziyang and others. The extra 70 days that Xiaoping'an had for Team 179 passed quickly. During these 70 days, Xiaoping'an and Team 179 got along smoothly. At the same time, Xiaoping'an also took time and used more than 2 months to completely perfect the layout of the large formation outside Lingxiao City, which solved a worry. After 70 days, the mission of Team 179 has come. Team 179 received the mission and rushed to the most dangerous battlefield. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1009. In the gloomy sky, streaks of dark red lightning flashed from time to time, mountains of all sizes that had been crushed, tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of square kilometers of land, dark rocks the size of houses, and large and small water masses float in the sky like dust and garbage. Occasionally, among these floating rocks, you can also see those huge and decaying beasts that are tens or even hundreds of meters long. Bones and some fragments of broken armor. Here is the Black Dragon territory, one of the main battlefields of the 2 divine wars. Because of the divine wars that lasted for countless thousands of years, almost no natural creatures can survive in the entire Black Dragon territory, and because of the divine wars, the space here has been completely chaotic. It is said that countless thousands of years ago, the Black Dragon territory had the sun and the moon, as well as a beautiful and boundless fertile continent. However, these stars and land had been shattered in the war between gods, so the entire Black Dragon territory became what it looks like now. And because the Black Dragon domain has many space passages leading to other domains, and because the Black Dragon domain contains precious mineral deposits called solar iron, whoever wants to occupy this place will be able to extend their power further through this place. The place can also obtain strategic resources such as sun iron. Therefore, even if the Black Dragon territory has become a ruin after the Divine War, it is still a must-win place for both sides of the Divine War. Whether it is the dominant demon god or the dominant god of heaven, under the circumstances that the gods cannot come to the Black Dragon territory, they have invested their elite and strong men here to engage in the most intense fighting and mining of solar iron. Deep in the land of more than 100,000 square kilometers floating in the sky of the Black Dragon territory, dense mines and tunnels are as dense as ant nests. In those mines and tunnels, the numbers summoned by the summoner, thousands of miners, as well as metal puppets that look like spiders, are working tirelessly and nervously in the tunnels and mines with various tools, constantly removing some of the ores that are looming in the darkness and emitting a faint red light. Excavated and mined, transported to the deepest parts of the land. The underground mineral deposits here are very difficult to mine. The special rock formations hiding the ores are as cold and hard as pig iron. Ordinary shovels and other tools cannot dig at all. Only the liquid from a special alien beast can be applied to those rock formations. Only then will the rock formation gradually soften and become mineable. Every time you advance 1 meter in an underground mine, you have to put in a lot of hard work. Sometimes, deep in those special rock formations, due to the mutation of the ore, or some powerful forces hidden in the rock formations are mined. When released, the mines hundreds or even thousands of meters away will be instantly flooded with high-temperature flames. The flames can make all the miners and farmers summoned turn into light and dissipate, and can also turn those busy spider-like metal puppets into lifeless iron juice. But soon, new miners and new metal puppets will reappear in these high-temperature mines and continue mining. The miners and metal puppets will send the valuable minerals mined deep underground. A certain huge hollow-shaped space has completed the screening and preliminary smelting. There is the center of this place. A team of demigod strongmen who belong to the side of the dominant demon are stationed here and are plundering day and night. The rare solar iron resources hidden underground here are being mined. At this moment, in a hall at the center of this huge underground mine, a man with a cold face, a devil's eye tattoo between his eyebrows, and a blood-red cloak was standing in the hall, holding a red wine glass in his hand. With a calm expression, he looked at the huge holographic map that appeared in front of him, which was evolved from the Judding diagram technique. In the holographic map, it is the appearance of this piece of land floating in the sky. The mines in the entire land are shown one by one on the map in front of you. If you look carefully, even in the mines among them, the appearance of the ant-like miners and metal puppets can be clearly distinguished. The summoned miners are walking on the ground of the mine, while the metal puppets are on the top of the mine, like spiders, crawling quickly. Here is the command center of this huge mine. Suddenly, in the lower right corner of the hologram evolved from the Judding diagram, a 600-700 meter long mine in operation suddenly glowed red and was submerged by a sea of scorching high-temperature flames like a wave. The high-temperature flames are still spreading through this mine like the surrounding mines. The miners and metal puppets in the holographic map are disappearing in large areas amidst such high temperatures. The number of miners and metal puppets lost has reached above in the blink of an eye. Thousands of people. The man standing in front of the hologram did not blink an eyelid, but calmly issued the order, "There is a leakage of divine flames in the 19th and 20th pits of GN 146 mining area. Sato, go deal with it." Boss, I got it. I'm on my way to the GAN 146 mining area. Another cold voice appeared in the hall, with a hint of dissatisfaction. Damn, there have been a lot of accidents about the leakage of divine flames in the past 2 days. This is already the third time. Stop talking nonsense, how about you go out on patrol instead? The man standing in front of the hologram cursed. As this sound appeared, in the hologram, a white light point was seen quickly passing through the area where high temperature was spreading in several mines, and then in a moment, the flames that were spreading everywhere in the high temperature area began. The collapsed mine was blocked between two mines. Subsequently, the temperature in the mine dropped rapidly. The summoned miners and metal puppets then appeared in large numbers on the other side of the collapsed mine and began to clean up. At this moment, the door of the hall behind the man opened. A man was as strong as an ox, with a huge head like a wild boar. The whole head was covered with black hair, and there were 2 fangs on his mouth. He was wearing a dark suit. A's powerful alien demigod walked in with a squeak. Boss, I feel something is wrong. Xuanhuan has been out patrolling for a long time this time, and no news has come. I heard that there was something strange at the sub-base a few days ago, and summoned objects appeared in the nearby airspace to conduct reconnaissance. We are here. Will he be discovered by the Black Flame people? The foreign demigod strongman said in a gruff voice. The man standing in front of the hologram raised the wine glass in his hand, took a sip of wine, and said confidently, "We are hidden deep underground. The surface has been camouflaged, so it is not easy to be discovered. They will discover it." The sub-base was also discovered. The sub-base was deliberately discovered by them. If people from the Black Flame really came, they would find the sub-base first. There is a fatal trap in the sub-base. Everything in the sub-base is still intact. There is no warning and the trap is not there. It has not been triggered, so we have no problem here. Blood Dance must have relapsed into his old habit, and there are not so many lone female demigods in the Black Dragon territory for him to hunt for blood sacrifices. Unexpectedly, the alien demigod shook his head and said stubbornly, "I still feel something is wrong. The premonition of our Tulusa clan is not wrong." Hearing what this person said, the man standing in front of the hologram suddenly condensed his eyes. He turned his head, looked at the alien demigod in front of him, and pondered for a while. This is the Black Dragon domain, where the gods fight. The aftermath will not be completely eliminated for countless millions of years, and this is still in a mining area. The divine flames and solar iron in the mines will affect the perception of the powerful demigods. Are you sure your hunch is not wrong? Anyway, I just don't feel right. How about I go out and take a look? It's in the mining area. If there are black flames nearby, I will feel it more clearly, said the powerful demigod from the alien race. Okay, you take one person with you. We are in the mining area. I will ask Xuanhuan to come back first. At the same time, in an airspace more than 10,000 kilometers away from the mining area, a huge illusory black barrier had completely blocked the place, making it impossible for even light to penetrate. In the black barrier, as Nan put away the giant net he had thrown out, the body of the strong demigod called Xuanhuan, who belonged to the side of the dominant demon god, was unwillingly turning into dust in Nan's giant net. Dissipated, and a lot of things exploded out of that person's body. Xiaopingan put away the long sword in his hand with a calm expression, and his heart was already filled with joy. Another one. He could even feel the more than 1 million points of divine power added to the giant tower of his secret mandala. This work, he likes to do it, no one can argue with him. Ziling curled her lips and said to Mo Xiang, "Next time there is such a mission, let someone else go. I won't go. It's disgusting." This black barrier of illusion is supported by Mo Xiang. At this moment, Mo Xiang's gaze is extremely profound, as if he has passed through the black barrier and is looking at the land thousands of miles away. Now it is basically confirmed. What we discovered before that base is most likely a trap, used as a cover. Long Huan's divination skills have come true again. The guy we killed came from their real base. The size of this base may not be small. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 1010. Boss, what are you going to do now, attack by force? Nan he asked eagerly as he put away the giant net. The giant net was his weapon. It was a very perverted thing, but it was also very useful. Just now, a few people cooperated with each other and in a moment, they defeated a strong enemy. Most of the powerful enemies killed in the Black Dragon domain had more than 80 military merit points. This is already the 4th month that Xiaopingan came to the Black Dragon territory with Team 179 to perform tasks. During these 4 months, thanks to the strength of Team 179 and the tacit cooperation between them, Team 179 carried out in 5 battles, including the one just now, 9 opponents have been killed. Even though he only killed 9 opponents, none of these 9 opponents was a fuel-saving lamp. 6 of the 9 people had mastered the divine skills, and the remaining 3 were also elites who dominated the demon god's side. Such a record is already considered very impressive for a team. This is the best result achieved by Team 179 in half a year, because Team 179 almost killed enemies that were twice as strong as the members of the team. If we are not sure of their number, it would be too dangerous to attack by force. We have achieved results in the past few months by relying on strength to attack weak, avoiding the real and attacking the weak. We will only take action when we have the advantage. Zi Ling proposed. He expressed different opinions and then glanced at Xiaopingan. Can you divine the result of the attack and the number of people on the other side this time? Mo Xiang looked at Xiaopingan and asked, with some expectation in his tone. Only the people in Team 179 know that they have found a treasure this time. Although this dragon fantasy who has just joined Team 179 has not mastered the divine skills yet, this dragon fantasy has mastered the skills that would make even the strong demigods feel envious. Powerful divination secret method. All the victories and achievements in the past few months were achieved under the guidance of Long Huan's divination secret method. The results of Long Huan's several divination results have all come true. Although divination can be regarded as a profound secret skill, many powerful demigods have mastered it at the demigod level. However, even if they master it, divination cannot be used casually, because ordinary divination, once the divination object involves other demigods or gods, it will be difficult to be effective, or even completely ineffective, because strong men of this level are born with the ability to counter divination, which cannot be predicted by ordinary divination techniques. And Xiaopingan's divination technique, even if the target is the opponent's demigod, still works every time, allowing the team to seek good fortune and avoid disaster, which is beyond the imagination of Team 179. Wait a moment, let me try. Xiaopingan said. After saying that, he closed his eyes. The 3 people next to him waited with bated breath. After a few seconds, Xiaopingan opened his eyes. With a wave of his hand, an octagonal, majestic and antique loft was summoned by Xiaopingan and appeared in front of the 4 people. When Mo Xiang and the other 3 saw the loft, their eyes showed awe. The attic is divided into 7 floors. The entrance to the attic is written with the words Yandao Building. Under the gaze of several people, Xiaopingan bowed respectfully to Yandao Building and said loudly, "Please also ask the sages in the building to give you some advice." As soon as Xiaopingan finished speaking, a piece of paper fell from the attic and landed on Xiaopingan's hand. After the note fell, the performance building disappeared. Xiaopingan looked at the words on the note, and the heads of the 3 people next to him also came over. There was only one sentence on the note. There are 10 enemies. A lone army is in danger. A combined army is the best. The auspicious position is south. Seeing this sentence on the note, even Nan He, who had just clamored for a strong attack, took a slight breath of air and touched his bald head. That means there are still 10 people in the enemy's base, even those who were just attacked by us. The enemy's combat strength in that base after killing this guy is 11, so it must not be an ordinary base, but an important mining area. I just say it's better to be careful, don't be careless. Zai Ling let out a long breath. 11 people, this is the configuration of a squadron of the opponent. If we attack rashly this time, we may be in trouble. Mo Xiang's face also became serious. If the 4 of them rashly attack, what will happen in front of them? Against an opponent who is twice as many as them, it is probably a luxury to hope to escape unscathed. Looking at the meaning of this divination, we should unite other teams to act together. If the enemy's base is in the west and the auspicious position is in the south, it means that you can meet your own people if you go south. Ahem, let me say it again, my divination skills may be inaccurate sometimes. Xiaopinggan quickly added next to him. Don't worry, we believe you. The 3 of them looked at Xiaopinggan with such trusting eyes that Xiaopinggan didn't know what to say. I really don't know what happened to Xiaopinggan, the Yandao Pavilion. After he merged the 2 world beads, King Wen plays the Book of Changes and Confucius made 10 wings left to him by Old Man Ye. Something happened in Lingxiao City. Through some wonderful changes, King Wen of Zhou and this Bagua-shaped performance building naturally appeared in Lingxiao City. Then, in the secret mandala temple, Yuan Tiangang, who had been left behind by Xiaopinggan's fusion of Tui Beitu, Li Chunfan's sculpture was activated, and the 2 of them were summoned by the Taoist building and entered the Taoist building. Together with Kui Hao, there were 5 of them in Lingxiao City who could enter the Taoist building at this moment. Xiaopinggan didn't even know what is in this Yandao building, and if you need divination, the Yandao building will give you the divination results. It's just that, the cost of summoning the Yandao Pavilion for a divination is not small. It takes a full 6,400 points of divine power to perform a divination. Fortunately, Xiaopinggan's secret mandala is now bursting with divine power and has accumulated to a terrifying amount. Otherwise, such consumption would be really unbearable. Retreat, let's go south first. If we encounter other teams, we will decide our next move. Mo Xiang gave the order immediately. Boss, we have killed someone now, will our opponent notice that we are on guard? Nan he asked. This person should be an inspection personnel sent by the other party. Even if the other party knows that this person has not returned, they will not be able to guess our next move. Instead, they will be suspicious. They cannot move the mining area away. In the short term, the number of the other party will also be reduced. There won't be any big changes, we still have time, evacuate immediately, go, Mo Xiang said, with a wave of his hand. The illusion black barrier covered the 4 people, making the 4 people seem to disappear, and then Mo Xiang flying quickly towards the south. Xiaopinggan and the other 3 immediately followed. They all wore forbidden armors, had the ability to fly, and were not slow. The surrounding airspace was filled with ruins one after another, and several people disappeared into the airspace in a matter of seconds. During the flight, Mo Xiang had used a magic weapon to release a special signal for their team. This special signal could be sensed by other teams of the Black Flame Department and they could contact each other as long as they were nearby. After flying invisibly towards the south for 2 days, the magic weapon in Mo Xiang's hand actually sensed and contacted a Black Flame team in this airspace.